Welcome back to the Free Hour. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Trevor Turner. We back with another video. We're back today with another episode in our productivity series. You see the shirt. Got the Free Hour shirts. Let me know if you want one. Not selling them or anything like that yet. Got my homeboy, he make them for me and stuff. If you're interested in getting one of these shirts to help push the channel, help promote the channel, let me know, and I'll see about getting you one of these shirts. So let's kick it off today, man. Aligning productivity with purpose, focusing on how effective habits and purposeful actions can steadily increase productivity by aligning tasks with long-term goals. What if working smarter and not harder was the key to reaching your goals faster? Today we're talking about, in our productivity series, E, and E is for efficiency, working smarter and not harder. And what we're going to learn today is we're going to learn the importance of efficiency for maximizing productivity. Of course, we're also going to learn strategies to increase efficiency and how to align these practices with meaningful goals. And that's going to be the meat and potatoes of it. I think we can kind of briefly touch on what efficiency is. We all know what it means to be efficient. Efficiency is accomplishing tasks with the least waste of time, the least waste of energy, the least waste of effort, the least waste of resources, while still maintaining that high quality that you expect of yourself, that other people expect of you, that you need to deliver to get to where it is that you're trying to go. And why efficiency matters in purpose-driven productivity is because it allows you to complete more tasks, simply, that align with your purpose without sacrificing that quality. It helps you reach your long-term goals faster. It helps you reach your long-term goals with less risk of burnout, with less risk of running yourself into the wall, with less risk of spinning your wheels. It is the way to doing it in the way that is going to keep you running on all cylinders. It's going to keep you firing on all cylinders. And it's the way that's going to get you there faster. It's about switching from working longer hours to working smarter and achieving more in less time. That is what we can get to if we're able to incorporate efficiency into what it is that we're doing. And the reason that efficiency is so important for what we are trying to do is because we talked about this last time. If you're working 8 hours, that's a third of your day. If you need to sleep 6, 7, 8 hours, that's a third of your day. You have limited amount of time to do the things that are going to help you get to your goals, because you have to stuff so much stuff into the free hours of your day. You have to stuff so much stuff into the off hours, the times that you're off work. You have to stuff in like commuting, getting to and from work. You have to stuff in things like trying to eat food. You have to stuff in things like trying to take care of your kids or trying to maintain relationships. You have to stuff in things like trying to work out and get into the gym. So when it comes to actually building the things that you want to build while maintaining a day job, or while maintaining a healthy sleep schedule, or while maintaining healthy eating schedule, healthy eating habits, or while maintaining healthy working out habits, while maintaining all of these things and still being able to get healthy recreation, still maintaining and building those healthy relationships with your loved ones, with your family, you are going to need to do things in the most efficient way possible. So let's briefly touch on the science behind the energy and the focus. Decision fatigue. Mental energy and decision fatigue. Decision fatigue, which is the decline in decision-making ability after prolonged focus, can decrease efficiency. The fewer decisions that you have to make, the more energy you have for high-priority tasks. So one of the ways that we can do this, obviously, is we can batch our similar tasks, and we can simplify our routines to reduce decision fatigue and save mental energy for more important decisions. This is almost like automation. It's about time blocking. It's about not having to decide what it is that you're going to do next. It's about having everything planned out so you can smoothly transition, so that you don't have to make every decision. Okay, what am I going to do next? Okay, how am I going to do this today? Okay, how am I going to approach this? Okay, now that I know how I'm going to approach it, how am I going to start? How am I going to carry out? What strategies am I going to use? What am I going to implement? You already have those things kind of laid out. You have them batched. You have them automated. You have it on a notification where it just says, okay, boom, start this in this way at this location, whatever the case, and you just flow into it. What it does, it helps you reduce the decision fatigue for when you do actually have to make important decisions, and it saves that mental energy for the more important decisions and the more important tasks. And then we touch on the focus and the flow state. So focused, uninterrupted work sessions or flow states, they contribute to high efficiency and increased productivity. So when we talk about Mihaly, a renowned psychologist known for his research on flow, describes the optimal state of focused engagement, the flow state. His research on flow, where individuals perform best when fully immersed in a single task. One of the things that helps to build up efficiency is not only getting into that flow state, but setting yourself up for times when you can get into that flow state. Setting yourself up for times of limited distractions. Setting yourself up for times that you know you're going to be able to focus on that task and only that task. Efficiency comes with not only getting yourself into that flow state, but setting yourself up to get into those things like flow states. And let's talk about some strategies for how to do it. Strategies for increasing efficiency. When we talk about the 80-20 rule, this is the Pareto Principle. The Pareto Principle can help identify which 20% of tasks produce 80% of results. It allows you to prioritize high-impact activities. So what I encourage you to do is identify the few key tasks that yield the most significant outcomes and prioritize those over less impactful activities. And then, of course, you have your time management tools. Time blocking, task batching. They help reduce context switching and increase focus. We talked about context switching in our last video. We know that it takes, or they've done research that shows that it takes a person about 20 minutes, a little bit more, to regain focus after interruptions. It takes about that same amount of time to fully get into that state after you've switched from one type of task to another type of task. So if you're able to batch, if you're able to time block, it helps you to stay in that flow state. It helps you to stay in that same mental avenue so that you're not trying to switch on to something else. Grouping similar tasks like answering emails or holding meetings, appointments, dealing with customers, dealing with people that you need to deal with in one time block rather than spreading them throughout the day will help you to maintain that flow state for as long as you can, for peak times. It's like putting your creative tasks all next to each other. And then you know that once you are done creating certain things, you have to go and you have to promote certain things, or you have to do editing, or you have to do these other things. You have to do recording, and putting them in their own batch, putting them in their own time slot, putting them in different spots. So that way, when you switch into that mode, it does take you that little bit of time to fully sink into that mode. But once you sink into that mode, you're able to stay in it long enough to get all of those things done because they're all batched together. Automate repetitive tasks. You can use things like scheduling software, email filters. They handle repetitive tasks and free up time for more complex work. One of the things, if you're able to automate certain things, if you're able to find tools that will help you to do these simple tasks, it will free you up to be redirected to your core tasks. One of the ways you can do that is by delegating your non-essential tasks. When it comes to delegating, you're going to have two reasons that you may not want to delegate. You're going to feel like you can't trust another person to do it as well as you can, or you're not going to want to let it go because it's your baby, it's your creation. But the thing about it is this: if you find somebody who can do something as well as you, 70% as good as you, and it's a task that is that 80% task, it's just the task that kind of keeps you afloat. It doesn't help you thrive. It just helps you survive. You can delegate that person to that task to that person. But then also one of the things you have to realize is that even though it's your baby, even though it's your creation, if you find somebody who does a task better than you, you need to let go and you need to let that person do that task. The importance of delegating tasks that don't require your personal involvement reserves your energy for higher priority activities. The 70% rule: if someone else can complete the task at 70% or higher effectiveness, delegate it and focus on tasks only you can do. And then if you find somebody who can do a task better than you, put it in your mind as something to be grateful for, not something to be threatened by. Now let's talk about applying efficiency to purpose-driven productivity. Let's talk about aligning efficiency with our goals. Being efficient with time and resources allows us to dedicate more effort to purpose-aligned activities, such as skill development, long-term projects, personal growth. One of the things that happens when you are able to implement efficiency strategies like the things that we just did before, you can reallocate all of that saved time to developing a skill that is directly related to your long-term goal. You're not going to come in this necessarily fully equipped, fully built, fully outfitted, fully ready, fully prepared. You are always going to need to improve on your skills. You're always going to need to get organized knowledge. You're always going to need to find out more things. And you can take that extra time that you're getting by being more efficient to learning those skills, to developing those skills, to sharpening that iron, to sharpening that saw. And one of the ways that we can do this also is we can do our weekly efficiency check-ins. I recommend setting a time each week to review productivity habits. This is where you can assess which strategies were the most efficient, which strategies weren't working, which strategies you need to rethink, which strategies you need to do more of, and then adjusting accordingly. I'd say reflect on this at the same time that you do your week scheduling by asking simply this one question of yourself. Did my actions this week bring me closer to my goals? That's the question you need to ask yourself when it comes to things like efficiency, when it comes to things like flow state, when it comes to things like batching, when it comes to things like time blocking. You always got to ask yourself, like, did this particular arrangement help me get closer to my goals? Or did it take me further away from it? Is there a way to do this better? Can I hand this activity off to somebody else? Do I have that luxury? Do I have that opportunity? And then you do that on your weekly basis. So that way, when you're making your schedule for the week, when you're giving yourself the tasks to do, when you're setting up your notifications, when you're setting up your calendars, when you're writing your stuff down, or whatever the case that you're doing, you are able to do it in the most efficient and the most streamlined way possible every week. So let's talk about overcoming common barriers to efficiency. I think one of the things that happens when it comes to efficiency is because we feel like we're on autopilot sometimes. We feel like since we're not putting like our full effort into it, we're doing things in a way that isn't perfect. So let's talk about dealing with perfectionism. Perfectionism can actually decrease efficiency by causing us to spend excessive time on minor details. Focus on quality, not perfection. And this is not to say to focus on quantity, to just crank things out like an assembly line or do things to the point where it's like, okay, that's good enough. But you need to have set standards, clear standards for when the task is done. That way you avoid over editing, over revisiting. You avoid going back too many times. You avoid too many double checks and revising the completed work unnecessarily. One of the things that you have to realize is that you cannot throw away good enough for perfect. You cannot throw away your best efforts because they weren't quote unquote perfect efforts. And it's a balance though, because the way you do anything is the way you do everything. So you want to do everything that you do to the best of your ability, but you need to realize that maybe right now, maybe what you're working with right now, maybe the equipment that you have right now, maybe the knowledge that you have right now, maybe the tools that you have at your availability, the tools that you are able to use can only produce this quality of product right now. You want it better? Okay, get better. Don't sacrifice what you've done because you aren't at that point yet. There's never going to be the perfect time. You're never going to have the perfect people to work with. You're never going to have that perfection of yourself. Your voice is not going to be exactly the way you want it. You're not going to be able to present everything on day of 100% the way you want to present it. You might hear something later on and be like, damn, I should have put that in there, or I should have presented it like this, or I should have done this, or I should have injected more of it into this. That doesn't mean go back and delete everything that you've done. That doesn't mean go back and erase everything that you've done to try and redo it in that manner. Just bring it into the next project. Bring it into the next thing you do. Set those clear standards so that way you're not stuck agonizing over all those small details. And then obviously managing our distractions. Minimize those distractions by creating distraction-free workspaces, setting up our focus hours, and using apps to even block things like social media. And the reason I say things like social media is because, this happens all the time. You get that notification on your phone, especially if you're somebody who's trying to create. Especially if you're somebody who's trying to use things like social media as a tool, you can find yourself going down that rabbit hole. You may not even just be mindlessly scrolling, but you might be answering one message and then you know what, I got to answer this message and that message, and I got to send out this message, and I got to promote this, and I got to share this, and I got to, go back and create a post about this, and I got to do all these other things. Now, mind you, if that is not what you're supposed to be working on at that time, that's a distraction. You've taken yourself out of that efficiency. You can batch that time. You can block that time. You can have it in the day. But don't do it when you're trying to do something else. Don't just do it because a notification popped up. Set your focus hours. Put your phone on do not disturb. Get in a place that is separated enough from other people in your household, in other people at your workplace. Get in a space where you can focus on work and get into that flow state and what it is that you're trying to do. Create your distraction-free workspace. Even if that just means locking the door. You know, I know a lot of us, we don't have like an office. We don't have a place we can walk away from and you know, once we have to leave the house, but we have a place in our home where we can probably lock a door, or we can probably let other people in that space know, hey, from this hour to this hour, I'm going to be working on this. I'm going to be locking that door. I'm going to be locked in. I'm going to be focused. The easiest ways to do this is turn off the notification during your work blocks. Use focus enhancing tools. If you can't get to a quiet spot, but it's alone, like it's an alone spot, but you can hear stuff, get you some noise canceling headphones. Get you some headphones where you can turn off like ambient aware on the JBLs, or you can turn off the transparency mode like on the AirPods. Get something like that just to keep it to where you aren't distracted, to where you aren't hearing everything else that's going on, where you're not seeing everything else that's going on, where you're not having things come up on your phone. And then just build the efficient habits. Building efficient work habits takes consistency and time, and I encourage you to start with the small changes. Gradually adopt these new techniques. One of the things that I would say is I suggest experimenting with one new efficiency strategy per week to determine what works best for you without overwhelming yourself. You have to go, and this is like the core of the free hour. This is the meat and potatoes of the free hour. Take that one change and implement it over the week. See if it worked. See if it worked really good, or if you can take it and tweak it and make it work better. See if it didn't work for you, and just admit that it didn't work for you. But if you try to put too many different things in the week, if you try to put too many different new things in what it is that you're trying to do throughout a day, you might burn yourself out trying to do the one thing because it didn't work for you, and then everything else that you've tried to do in the rest of that day may come out seeming or feeling like it didn't work either. But that's only because you threw yourself out of your comfort zone, or out of whack, or whatever. Your equilibrium was off. Your mode was off. Your feng shui, whatever you want to call it, because of that one thing that you put into your day earlier. This is why you only do one thing. You do one new thing per week. You put it in where you need to put it in, and you say, okay. You check back on Saturday, and you say, okay, how much extra work did I get done? Is this something that is going to help me in the long run? Is this something that maybe isn't going as fast as I want to because it's new and I need to get used to doing it? Or is this something that just isn't going to work for me? It's counterintuitive for me and my personality, me and my learning style, me and the way that I need to be presented things, or me and the way that I need to learn things, or me and the way that I need to create things. Is this going against my nature? Or is this just aligning with my nature? Is this something that just clicks immediately? But that way, you're doing it in the isolation, so everything else is the same. Everything else is controlled. That's the only variable. That's the only thing that changed. So you're able to say, okay, you know what? I got a lot of extra work done. And now you're able to say, oh, it's because of that. It's because of that thing that I added. So add one new efficiency strategy per week. Add one new type of time block. Try to batch two different type of activities together. See if they work together. Try to use a new app. See if that works for you. Try to get into that flow on a different type of thing at a different type of time and see if it works. All right. Thank you guys for watching. This has been our productivity series where we talked about efficiency. We talked about defining efficiency. We understood its importance for productivity. We went over some practical strategies for improving efficiency, and then how to align it with our purposeful work. I encourage you guys to apply one strategy today. Reflect on the time it saves, and I challenge you to incorporate more techniques over time. Efficiency is doing things right, and effectiveness is doing the right things. That's by Peter Drucker. Work smarter, not harder. There are some times that you're going to need to push yourself. There are some times that you're going to need to put every ounce of your being into things, and there are going to be some times when you're able to do things in an efficient manner, when you're able to just get into that flow state and just cut through the work, cut through the bullshit like a hot knife through butter. There are going to be times when your talent is going to be able to carry you through. So you need to set yourself up to get through those times. So that way, when you do have the hard times, when you're trying to learn those brand new things, when you're trying to implement these brand new things that just take all that effort, you have the mental energy, you have the decision power, the energy in your brain. You're not fatigued, and you're ready to go. All right. Thank you very much for watching the video. This has been your boy Tree, Trevor Turner. If you like the video, like the video. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Come back and check us out for more tips. We do mindfulness tips. We do productivity tips. We do emotional intelligence tips. And we have guests on. And we talk to different people about different things, all positivity, all mindset changes, all things that are going to help you get better using the free hours of your day. All right? It's your boy Tree. Deuces.